Welcome back, folks. I'm Jake ELLENBOGEN, and today we're going to be talking about Tyler Higbee. It's been a long time. He has not been around since the playoff game where, of course, he was hit by Kirby Joseph in the knee, unfortunately suffered an ACL and MCL tear. We're going to get into what kind of impact he can make as he is expected to play this weekend against the New York Jets. Before we dive into that, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and follow me on all social media at JKBogan, including Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Kick. And in addition to that, just want to let you guys know that today's sponsor is BetUS, and you can get a 150% bonus match on your first deposit and 125% on your next two when using the code YouTube150. So if you're trying to bet on the Falcons and Bears game tonight, or you're trying to bet, Falcons and Raiders, Bears and Vikings, if you're trying to bet on either of those games or trying to bet on some NBA or NHL or what have you, you can go and do that and use code YouTube150 to get in on the bonus signups. That's what I can say to you there. Be sure to bet responsibly. And of course, thank you for BetUS for sponsoring today's video. So Tyler Higbee is a player that, whether you realize it or not, is incredibly important to the Rams. History-wise, he is the most accomplished tight end of all time in the Rams history. But you really get a feel for what they're missing when you've seen what they've had this year. I want to see more Hunter Long, and I don't think that's something I ever would normally say, but I've been somewhat impressed with his limited snaps, and I think that has more to do with the disappointing season. Not just Colby Parkinson, who was a prized free agent signing, but in addition to that, I felt Davis Allen would take another step, and it doesn't appear he's going to do that, at least not this year. And I know he was dealing with a back injury to start the season, and he's dealt with some stuff this year, but still, they just have not had a lot of production. And what do I mean by that? Well, tight ends versus the Jets this year have 69 catches on 93 targets for 643 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Rams tight ends in general have 42 catches on 67 targets for 387 yards and 1 touchdown. Last year, Tyler Higbee caught 47 of his 70 targets for 495 yards and 2 touchdowns. And TJ Hawkinson, I want to bring him up here because he also is dealing with an injury that, Higbee suffered. He did it a little bit earlier on, so he came back a little bit early. But last 6 games of 2023 for Hawkinson, he caught 35 of 46 passes for 413 yards and 2 touchdowns, which is an 11.8 average. However, Hawkinson this year, since he came back in those 6 games, has 27 of his 36 caught for 299 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 11.1 average. So is that enough to say that he's completely lost a step? Definitely not. But his average has gone down by 0.7. Maybe his utilization has gone down. You could say he had 10 more targets last year, and they are trying to ease him in. But he hasn't looked the same on tape. And so that is my concern. You bring Tyler Higbee back, and obviously that's a great thing to get him back for week 16. But the problem is Tyler Higbee going to be what Tyler Higbee was before in what was a little bit of a down year last year based on, his career totals? Like I said, he's the all-time Rams leading tight end, and his roles have really fluctuated in the McVay era. If you don't believe me, I broke it all down. 2017, he was a second-year man out of Western Kentucky, 4th-round pick in 2016. And in 2017 with Sean McVay, he had the largest average depth of target of his career, 10.6 to be exact. So he was on average being targeted for a first down and more, per target. And so that tells you a lot because basically it tells you that they were using him as a big play threat and not really as an all-around tight end. They used Gerald Everett in a sense where they wanted Everett, who was a rookie that year, to be that kind of yards after the catch guy. And that was obviously something he did very well at South Alabama. So Tyler Higbee was more of the, I'm going to go get it deep downfield guy. We saw that with 11.8 average per catch, which of course is last year's, the last 6 games of last year, TJ Hawkinson's average. In 2018, he was given fewer targets, but he was more efficient in all areas and averaged 12.2 average per reception. So interesting stuff there. Obviously, 2018 was probably his best year from an analytical standpoint. Quarterbacks when targeting him they had 132 passer rating. So that's interesting. And then 2019 was his best year to date, counting stats wise, 734, career high receiving yards. He has not gotten to that since. 401 of those came after the catch, because the big thing about 2019 is that Goff was throwing a lot. They lost a lot of games. Obviously, they missed the playoffs by 1 game, but in a lot of those games, he was down. And so it was a big deal to obviously get him going and, get his confidence there. And that's what, tight ends are for. In 2020, that's when Goff's confidence was gone. He wasn't throwing deep down the field anymore. The average depth of target goes way down here. Tyler Higbee's, target reduction, he goes from 86 to 59. And, it's back to bigger play receiver threat. And he's tied for the most touchdowns of his career with 5, including 3 of them coming in that Eagles game in week 3, I believe it was. It might have been week 2. 2021, his role, 81 targets, career high in snaps out of the slot and out wide. His best season as a contested catch tight end. He caught 10 of 15 contested catches, which is outstanding stuff. It's about a 66%, success rate. And then 2022, we saw the most targets of his career with 101. He caught 72 for 620 yards, but he only had 2 of 11 contested catches in the 2022 season. It was a very dink and dunk heavy game with him, and he was really relied on because of the shaky offensive line. When in doubt, a young quarterback or a veteran quarterback who's being pressured, you're going to rely on your tight end that has that safety net, if you will. Bigger target, not as fast as a receiver, most of them at least, but a guy that can maybe break some tackles and make some plays after the catch. And that is something that Tyler Higbee has been able to do. Of course, 401 of his 734 was after the catch in 2019. So in 2022, they asked him to be that dink and dunk option, and he gladly did that for 620 yards. Keep in mind, he dealt with Bryce Perkins starting the Chiefs game. He dealt with John Wolford. He had Matthew Stafford for half the year, and he had Baker Mayfield. So that was pretty much his season in a nutshell. In 2023, however, fewest targets since 2020. So fewest targets since, Matthew Stafford took over. Most slot reps of his career. So they were using him more creatively, not just as an inline tight end, but, in the slot. And then you saw instantly, 102.8 passer rating when targeted, which was the most he had since Jared Goff was the quarterback. And then you saw a more well-rounded approach in his blocking game. And I think that's the thing. He's gotten better as a blocker each year. But let's be honest here, he took a backseat because of the emergence of Puka Nacua. A lot of people, I remember fantasy analysts saying at the start of last year, Tyler Higbee is the number 1 receiver. And maybe they were right. But Puka Nacua made sure of it pretty quickly to take over as the guy. And let's not forget, Tutu Atwell also held his own early on in the season until, Cooper Kupp came in. And so, that was that. And then you have this year, right? What's his role going to be this year? I think that's what a lot of people would like to know. Is it worth even, pushing it? Is he going to start? Is he going to be eased in? Well, I'll be honest with you, he's been eased in. This is what has been happening. So when you look at, Tyler Higbee, the tight ends really haven't been a piece of the puzzle this year. Only 14.75% target share among all tight ends to, of course, the all receivers. 13.59% reception share of the passing game. 11.1% receiving yard share, and then only 5.26% touchdown share. So the question is not really, is Tyler Higbee this or that? I mean, really the question is, Are the Rams trying to utilize the tight end more when Tyler Higbee comes back because, Parkinson, Long, and Allen haven't really produced much? Or, is it really just it's always been about Higbee? Like, I think that's the question. Are they going to start using the tight ends more, or is this what their offense is? And obviously Tyler Higbee will help, but he's not supposed to be featured in the offense. And that's the question that only he's going to answer, but it's worth mentioning that every single year, except for 2021, surprisingly enough, he had more yards after the catch than expected according to Next Gen Stats. And if you look this year, Colby Parkinson, while I don't want to dump on the guy because he had a huge catch that basically won them the game and sealed the game against the 49ers, but Parkinson has the 4th worst in the league. And I think that's a big thing. When you look at Sean McVay, you look at his job done with the Washington Redskins at the time with Jordan Reed. And, that's the thing is like when you look at that, you see these guys making plays after the catch. And that's the thing is that Higbee's done that, but there hasn't been enough of that from Colby Parkinson. Davis Allen has been disappointing, and Hunter Long there has, but he just doesn't get very many reps. So I think the hope is Tyler Higbee is going to slide in there, and they are going to feature the tight end. And the reason being is they're going to admit to themselves that, look, we're not out on Colby Parkinson, but at least for this year, he just hasn't been productive enough for him to be worth the contract. So you can sit there and sulk that you made a mistake, or you can kind of salvage what's left. And the reality is this. This is why I've wanted them to trade for, David Njoku, and why people mention, Kyle Pitts. And for a second, it makes you wonder, right? There's not a lot of tight end usage in this offense, and so it makes you wonder maybe they don't need the tight end. That could not be any less, that could not be any more wrong. This is a team that tried to trade up for Dalton Knox back into the first round when they didn't have a first-round pick 2 years ago. And in this past year, they tried to trade up for Brock Bowers multiple times. That tells me that they value tight ends. That tells me that they're very much interested in bringing tight ends into this offense and that they want to use them. And that also tells me that they just don't have the faith in these tight ends. Outside of blocking right now and just those bootlegs and what have you, they're not really opening up the playbook for tight ends. And I understand that. Well, Higbee, I understand, is coming off a major injury for his knees, but this is a guy who has been very consistent for them. He has been reliable. He has a good rapport with Matthew Stafford, and he's been good in the red zone. He's been good in contested catch opportunities. I don't want to, play the hindsight 2020 game, but I think if you put Tyler Higbee and he was healthy, they win that Packers game. They win that Bears game. Do you know why? Because over the middle, they're not trying to force it into a Puka Nacua or Cooper Kupp or whoever who has a defender draped all over them. They have a Tyler Higbee who's going to be able to box out his defender, play bully ball, and win at the point of attack. It's why he had a 66% success rate on contested catches back in 2021. It was his worst year in a lot of ways, but he took on a different role. He didn't have to be the guy because they had Deshaun Jackson, they had Cooper Kupp, they had Robert Woods, Odell Beckham Jr. They really liked Ben Skoranek at the time, Van Jefferson. There were a lot of different options. So he became the contested catch guy. Well, as of right now, that's Puka Nacua. And outside of him, you're not really going to see that, although, shout out to Cooper Kupp's contested catch against the Bills to score that touchdown. But that's the thing. Higbee has a role in this offense. And I do expect, while they will ease him in, I expect by the postseason, because I do believe they're going to make it. Right now, they're first in the NFC West. I believe by the postseason, he is going to be integrated into this offense where he is a focal point on third downs and in the red zone. And I think that's only going to add another dynamic where you have to be on Tyler Higbee. You have to watch what he's doing. Right now, no one is scared of Colby Parkinson, Davis Allen, or Hunter Long, but they could be with Tyler Higbee, who has made a very impressive career to this point. And you have to understand, when everybody's focusing on Puka Nacua and everyone's focusing on Cooper Kupp and Demarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell, and Kyron Williams, you have to find other ways to get these guys open. It's no different than when you have a really good pass rusher and you have this double team on, say, Aaron Donald, and say if you had Jared Verse last year, Aaron Donald, it's going to be harder to double team him because now you have to worry about Jared Verse. When you have another guy that takes the load off another, player, it opens up what you're trying to do. And the Rams are going to be a pick your poison, either gun or knife offense where you would rather, take this than have this. And that might lead to some open opportunities for Tyler Higbee. Matthew Stafford is last in the league. And I don't think this necessarily, is anything against him, but he's last in the league off of getting yards off of broken plays and broken coverages. And so I think Tyler Higbee could be huge in that regard. You look back at that 49er game that we just saw. Remember that big 33-yard seam buster to George Kittle? Well, now the open part of the field, it's going to be open for Higbee because everybody's focusing on letting Puka Nacua do things. And now you have to worry about Cooper Kupp and you have to worry about, Atwell's speed and Demarcus Robinson's ability to go up and high point the football. And in addition to that, you have to worry about Kyron Williams and Blake Corum on the ground. So I'm telling you now, I'm not saying that Tyler Higbee is going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread, but if you're sitting there acting like his emergence here and coming back to this offense isn't going to upgrade this offense, then I don't know what to tell you, because a tight end is very, very key in Sean McVay offenses. And right now what they're doing without one, one that can really be a threat is impressive. But you're going to remember pretty quickly how good of a player Tyler Higbee is. As long as he doesn't have any setbacks, he is going to add more to this offense, transform it, and is going to be key and critical down the stretch for a potential Super Bowl run. So Tyler Higbee coming back this week against the Jets. This could be the deciding factor. That one extra first down you have to make at the end of the game, instead of having to punt it back, you might be able to throw it to a Higbee who gets open for a pass. I'm telling you right now, having him back is going to be way bigger than people realize, and I'm excited to see it. So if you agree with me or you enjoyed this video, either one, be sure to hit the thumbs up button. In addition to that, be sure to hit the subscribe button, as well as leave a comment. And of course, check out today's sponsor, BetUS. 150% bonus match on your first and 125% bonus match on your next 2 deposits using code YouTube150. That's going to do it for me. You guys take care, and can't wait to see number 89 back in action. Just want to let you guys know that we are doing all 22 live breakdowns every single week, Rams football related, over on Kick exclusively. That's kick.com/JKBogan if you want to get in on the action. And if you want a little something more than just football, I also do gaming streams as well. So check that out. Link is in the description, and hope to see you there. Do you love talking about the Rams, the NFL, or just want to be a part of a community? Join my free Discord server today. We're over 800 members. We got 24/7 live chat, a level 3 boosted server, the ability to call into JE Live, playing online games with us on Kick streams, toggleable alerts for when I go live on YouTube or Kick so you don't miss a live stream, and exclusive giveaways. Click the link in the description, the comments section, or the link that comes up in the video to learn more and join today.